Hello my dudes, dudettes and people that don't quite know yet, welcome to It's Now Gwendolyn, where I am now Gwendolyn. Today's video is going to be a little bit different from my usual style in the sense of I've done some research, guys. I'm deep in this, I'm in here. So today's going to be more of a research video. It's going to be based in more academic work, along with some personal anecdotes and whatnot. Due to the fact that I have done some research, I have done some stuff and whatnot, I'm trying my best to make this one feel and look and sound professional. Please give me a little bit of leeway if you see me looking down at my laptop, because it is scripted. So I will be looking down to read at it, so just bear with me if you see me quickly lose my train of thought. I'm going to come back and I'll read and I'll make sure everything's all good, okay? So, we're going to be talking about a question that comes up a lot in the trans community, and it's came up a few times in my comment section, and I thought, fuck it, we'll tackle it, we'll have a talk about it, because even I felt the same way. I had this same feeling, and I wish I had a video-ish that kind of described it. Now, as I always premise, this is not an exact, you need to listen to me, I am 100% correct. From what I understand, I'm just making a point to differentiate two things. We'll see how it goes though, but just take this with a grain of salt, take what you want from it, and just enjoy the video, okay? So, the video today is being transgender a fetish? Now, after all my research, everything I've looked into, the short answer is no. The long answer is no. What the fuck? No, it's not. It's no. Long answer is big no, very many zeros, put them across the screen. It's no. So, when I say fetish in this video, I'm calling it a fetish because it fucking is. When I say fetish in the video, I'm going to be referring to what is called autogynephilia. Now, autogynephilia is made up of a few different word patterns. So it comes from the word auto, which just means self, gyno, which means woman, and philia, which means love. So it essentially means, what the definition is that a man gets sexual gratification from dressing or pretending or acting like a woman, in essence. Essentially, so what people say is that trans people are autogynephilic and it's a fetish, or people don't know if they're trans or if they're autogynephilic, because it's hard to differentiate them when you don't know the difference between them. So I'm going to go through everything that I've found out. I'm going to talk about everything, and we're going to hopefully come to a more concrete conclusion rather than just me saying no. Just before we start though, like I said, this video is based on a mix of academic sources. It's based on things like the National Institution of Health, Elamin learning, sexology resources, a lot of academic research, even some stuff that maybe you shouldn't read at yourself, but I've well versed myself, don't worry. Along with online discussion from on things like Reddit and Quora, and then my own personal anecdotes from my own existence as a trans person. Well, right, okay, sorry guys, my hay fever is really acting up today, so my nose is feeling kind of blocked, but we're going to power through it anyway. So, this video, most of the sources I found were touch and go. The two main ones I found, along with all the other ones, are going to be cited in the description. So I do have an APA7 reference list that will be in the description of the video, so you can go and check out all my sources. I've done it in AP7 because I'm a psychology major, so I use AP7 and it's the one that I usually do, so I've defaulted to doing that. Please also note that some of the sources I have been granted access to because I'm in university. Some of them might be pay blocked for people that don't have institutional access, but some of them are like just widely available. But let's go straight into it, okay guys? And just one more thing guys before we start, I would like to make the comment of this video will tackle some kind of mature topics, in the sense of we're going to talk about sex, we're going to talk about things like maybe masturbation, obviously fetishes and whatnot, so it's maybe not the most safe for kids, but I'd imagine you know that anyway, but I just wanted to give that out there, okay? What is autogynephilia? Like I've said, the definition is a man becoming sexually aroused by the thought or imagery of himself as a woman. Now, breaking that down, there's a few things in that alone that we're going to pick at. Number one, a man becoming sexually aroused, it's sexual in nature. That is the first and main thing you want to think about. It is a sexual perversion, it's a sexual deviancy, okay? Number two, image of himself as a woman. Not herself, not themself, himself. In this situation, a man's gender identity does not change. A man's gender identity is still a man. He just wishes he had the anatomy or physicality of a woman. But it's not a transitioning. It's not a gender difference. It's a within sexual deviancy, like I've said. So if it was more akin to a transgender person, it would be when a person becomes sexually aroused by the thought or feeling of themselves as a woman. That could be more akin to a like daydream or a fantasy for transgender people. But autogynephilia, that's the definition, and it is not talking about transgender people. It is talking about a man who gets turned on by himself as a woman. Yeah. So most descriptions frame it as a purely sexual thing. It's a type of fetish. It's about arousal and imagining oneself as female for the sake of arousal, rather than actually wanting to be a woman in everyday life. So for example, talking about a trans woman, it's not purely a sexual thing. It's not about, oh, I'm gonna wear these short shorts and this crop top. I'm gonna do my hair and my makeup, and I'm gonna just go have a wank. That's not it. What it is transgender women feel a certain way. They feel that they're in the wrong body. They feel that they align better with the female sex. So what they do is they go through the social normative things like clothing, makeup, hair, like speech patterns, stuff like that. They adjust to fit in more with the socialized gender that they want to fit in with, and they do it whatever makes themselves feel comfortable. You'll see some masculine presenting transgender woman, which is essentially like a butch woman, but is a transgender woman. It is not a sexual gratification. They get gratification from their existence of being them true selves, not because they've got a boner or a euphoria boner, as some people try to link it to, which is not the case. Some sources even describe it as being linked to pornography and fantasies. So a lot of men who have autogynephilic responses tend to be more on the perversion side of things, often looking at things like porn and making up their own fantasies about themselves in that manner. Again, it's all sexual in nature. That is the main driving point of autogynephilia. It is sexual in nature. Yeah? So, little like straight away distinctions we've got autogynephilia is a sexual, it's situational and it's fantasy based. Whereas trans identity, it's about that identity, it's long term and it's about everyday life. And don't get me wrong, you can be transgender and be fucking horny. That is gonna happen. Like, you can be transgender, you can be horny, you can be transgender, and you can imagine your future self or you as you're presented just now having sex, and you could masturbate to that, or you could get turned on by that. Does not make it autogynephilic in essence. Okay, right. Why do people confuse this with being trans? Let's go into this. So again, please forgive me, there's a lot of words on this one, so let me look at the script. I'm going to be kind of coming up and down, okay? So this is where it gets a little bit messy. So a lot of people, especially trans women in their early journey, worry that they're actually not trans, they're just feeling this autogynephilic response, and they don't know the difference, and it really stumps a lot of people. That is how I was. At first I was like, oh, I'm just a weirdo. I'm just, this is just a fetish, I'm just a weirdo. Wasn't the case. But I've seen loads of people do this, and like I said, myself included, but upon Reddit and Quora, hundreds of people, especially baby trans people whose eggs are maybe just cracking or not even cracked yet, are like, guys, I think I'm just turned on by me in a thong. No, you're not. But we're gonna do this. We're gonna get through this. So, this is most research actually challenges the idea of transgender identity being caused or being associated with autogynephilia. So there is some studies that go and show that the links between autogynephilic people and transgender people is non-existent. There's a lot of people that challenge it. There is like some people, so let me quickly find my reference for it. Some people like Blanchard, I've got his initials R. He made the study, the classification and labelling of non-homosexual gender dysphorias, archives of sexual behaviours. That's the study there. He basically made one, and he did a really fucked up study that is now, not fucked up as in like it was like illegal or whatever, but fucked up as in it was stupid, it made no sense. It was published in 1989, and it's ridiculous, and it's not accepted nowadays as a valid source to cite, but it will be cited in the description if you want to go read at it. But he was one of the people that cited that basically, oh, they're the same and here's why, and then his here's why was a load of nonsense. But like, what are you going to do? It was the 1980s. So, where are we? Sorry. So studies and reviews argue that the theory doesn't actually hold up, and that being trans is not a byproduct of sexual attraction or fetish behaviour. It is a brain abnormality, it is a social abnormality. I feel like this is going to be very repetitive. Not fetish, lifestyle. Not even a lifestyle, it's just a person. It's also worth mentioning the idea that most of these autogynephilia is linked to transgenderism is pushed by anti-trans, like exclusionatory groups, even Christian groups. Like, I can't remember the exact video, I'll see if I can find it. If I do, I'll put the thumbnail here. But Finster and Icky did a response video to somebody who was basically reacting to one of Icky's videos, saying, oh, but you could just be a gender non-conforming male with autogynephilia. Ridiculous. He's just pushing anti-trans agendas, yeah? So most of these studies are between autogynephilia and transgenderism being linked. You'll never scroll down and look at the bias section and see them linked as transphobic. They're never going to say that, but they are pushed by anti-trans like groups, people and agendas. So what is the difference between sexual versus identity when we're talking about the autogynephilia and transgenderism? So I'm going to quickly go through. So one of the clearest separations between these two things is autogynephilia is described as focused on sexual arousal, temporary or situational, and not necessarily affected in everyday life. Whereas transgenderism, is that what I've wrote? Whereas being transgender involves a desire to live your gender full time, feeling about your body and identity in a social role, and incongruent, I can't say that word, dysphoria, yeah, gender incongruence. I'm putting the word here, yeah,
incongruence.
Fuck. Essentially your gender doesn't line up and you've got your way to fix that. Or something that exists outside the sexual situations. So this is why being transgender isn't classed as sexual identity, it's classed as gender identity, whereas autogynephilia would come under sexual identity, if any. So if you're being really, really woke, it would come under sexual identity, but being realistic, it's a fetish. And one thing that I did notice, this isn't a factual thing, this is purely just off the cuff, of what I noticed while researching, is that when people talk about transgender, like being transgender and autogynephilia in the same article, they often label being transgender as having symptoms, which is true. You've got like your gender dysphoria and whatnot, but then they go on to talk about autogynephilia as having characteristics. So even in that, when you're reading articles, they're not put on the same level. What they've done is they've put being transgender on a level of this is medical, here's the symptoms, and they've put autogynephilia on a different level and went, here's the characteristics of somebody who has autogynephilia. They're not the same. One is actively seen as medical and one is seen as an offset. That's like a big differentiation that I actually didn't notice, but I'm not going to say that that's a factual thing. Maybe there is some medical studies or some hospitals that treat autogynephilia as a medical thing. I can't say for sure, it was just an observation that I seen. Right, okay. Fantasy does not equal fetish. This is probably one of the most important points in the whole video, so let's dive into this bit. So, when people masturbate, when cis men, cis women, transgender men masturbate, especially without porn, usually, and again through my Reddit searches, I've found that not everybody, but most people tend to envision something. Like they don't just have a blank space in their heads, they've got some kind of picture. A lot of cis men that I've seen often said that they would imagine previous sexual encounters with women, where they would imagine the build up to it, the actual act of having sex up until closing time. They would imagine that, Same with cis women. Some cis women actually said that they more imagine the more atomy-based feelings around sex, as in the pressure, the building feeling, the wave of endorphins, as opposed to a physical image. They picture what's happening to them as opposed to who's doing it to them, which is something cool that I found, but it's besides the point. Now, a scenario, a person, and a vision of themselves, a lot of men, that might be thinking about past experiences, imagining themselves as they are just now. Most men, when they're thinking about having sex with a woman, if they're having a wank and they're thinking about a previous encounter with a woman, they're thinking about themselves, they're thinking about how they were, how they looked, their dick penetrating. That's it, and they will masturbate to that. We'll probably focus a little bit more on the woman's reaction to them, but that's what they're envisioning, and that's what's getting them aroused in that moment. That's normal. So, let me hit you with this. A trans person, I'll take myself, who doesn't actually enjoy the sight of their male anatomy, who doesn't actually enjoy picturing the idea of using it in sex, does it seem logical that I would then be aroused by myself penetrating someone else? No, it wouldn't. The idea of it being involved in sex does not allow me to maintain arousal. It doesn't allow me to be aroused. It doesn't allow me anything like that. And again, through some Reddit posts and through some personal anecdotes from other people, things like Cora, a lot of people have a similar experience of that. Now, there is some trans people that are perfectly fine with their dick. That's absolutely fine. They're perfectly fine with it. They'll use it during sex. They're happy enough. They don't plan on getting it removed. Fine, dandy. Doesn't change how trans they are. But it's just, again, different side to the spectrum. But some people, like me, would prefer to envision themselves as they want to be, as how they plan to be, as how they desire to be. So instead of me having male anatomy, I would have more female anatomy. And of course, during sex, I would use that female anatomy. Does that mean that I'm autogynephilic? No. It means I have an image in my head of how I want to look. And me being turned on by myself in my most ideal body is not a fetish. It is what my gender incognizance is. I don't like my body. I don't think I fit in it. Why would I imagine myself having sex in that body? No, I want to imagine myself having sex in a way that is desirable to me, which is the body that I want to get. And by want to get, that's just, that's it. So if a trans person imagines themselves in a body they actually want, in a way that feels right, it's not a fetish, it's their brain aligning their fantasy with their identity. Things coming together here. Identity, fantasy, arousal, in the middle they meet, yeah? That's not the same as thinking, oh, I should have fanny, so just so I can have sex. It's different. It would actually be weirder for someone with gender dysphoria to imagine themselves in a body they don't want. So imagine, let's go this. Imagine I've got really bad gender dysphoria. Imagine I was passing and I'd had the bottom surgery. It would be really weird if I then imagined myself while having sex or masturbating with a dick again. So I went through all that hassle, all that money, all that lifetime of torment to then masturbate over how I used to be. Doesn't make sense. Doesn't make sense at all. Not a fetish. Yeah? So, next section is personal perspective. For me, yeah, I feel more... I can feel more aroused when I imagine myself post-transition. That is me personally, because like I've said, I do not like my male genitalia. But it's not because I'm turned on by being a woman is the idea, it's because that's how I want to look, it's how I want to live, and it's how I actually experience, it's how I actually want to experience intimacy in the future. Simple as that. It's a desire, not a sexual craving. It's not about becoming something for a moment, it's about finally being able to exist in a way that feels right to me and to do all the things that I want to do as a hormonal youth that I can't do right now. There's a big difference between this turns me on because it's taboo and different, which is, again, right, autogynephilia, taboo, different, people would judge you for it. Whereas, like, oh, this turns me on because it's naughty, versus this turns me on because it's me and it makes me feel the most comfortable. Different things. Oh, it's hot because it's naughty, it's hot because it's me. I feel like I could end the video there. I'm not going to, but I feel like I can end the video there. Practical differences. Another way to simply look at it is someone with a fetish might want it only in a sexual context or only temporary. That isn't actually the case. This is a good point to mention that some people with autogynephilia do go on to receive like gender corrective surgery. In an extreme case, they can and do. People go on hormones, they go on HRT, and they do go on gender corrective surgery. But they'll still identify as a man. They just want it for sex. They don't want it because it's how they want to live. See if they wanted it because that's how they want to live full time. They are incorrect in their assumption of autogynephilia. If somebody with autogynephilia goes, oh yeah, I just feel like a woman and I want to live like a woman all the time, and I'm also going to go on hormones and I'm going to go get the surgery, but I've only got autogynephilia, it's called denial. Simple as that, it's called denial. Whereas someone with autogynephilia will be like, no, yeah, I'm a man, I've just got a fanny because sex is fun, isn't it? Like, that's the difference there. Whereas trans person actually want to change in daily life, maybe clothing, bodily alignment, and most importantly, comfort. Yeah? For example, wanting a surgery isn't just about sex, like it is for someone with autogynephilia. It's about feeling comfortable in clothing, for example, being able to wear clothes that you want. Maybe it's lingerie, maybe it's just leggings, maybe you just don't want to deal with the hassle of it. Maybe it's reducing dysphoria, which for most people it would if you're actually going to get the surgery, and not having to constantly manage or hide your body parts. Things like tucking and whatnot, pain in the dick, literally. It's not a fetish, it's about quality of life. It's about understanding and being yourself and having that quality of life and being the most comfortable, not just about sex. Right, this is a side note, age realisation. This is just something I wanted to throw in for other trans people that may be watching this. Some trans people know that they're trans from birth, or as young as the age of 3, I think the study's seen. Some people don't find out until they're 21, some people don't find out until they're 16, some people don't find out until they're 40. Just if you're watching this, you're not less valid or you're not less trans because you didn't know when you were 9, because you didn't know when you were 6. I didn't even consider the possibility until I was 16 because I'd never been educated on it. I didn't know what transgender was. I was stupid. Like, I hadn't been educated on it, and then when I did get educated on it, I got scared and put it off. And then at 20, I finally was like, right, okay, I'm gonna be me. I'm gonna finally do this. But there's no age limit on it. Like, this is just a side note in the video. That's all I wanted to say. Right, okay, just before the conclusion, we've got our critical thinking part. This is just a little disclaimer to everybody. It's a very important point. Just because something is said online, just because it's something is said confidently, just because something is backed up by an article, does not mean it's true, does not mean it's factual, and does not mean that it's being utilised correctly. Please always remember that when you're doing your own research. The amount of people that I found on Reddit while researching for this video that said, this statement here is totally true, and then didn't link an article, it wasn't true, or they would link an article, and what they've done is they've misunderstood the article, or the article's wrong, or been disproven, or it's very old, or it's prophesied by a hate group. You have to be careful who you're listening to. You have to be careful what the biases are, and you have to make sure you look into it yourself before just assuming that somebody's correct. Because that leads to mislabeling, it leads to people feeling insecure, it leads to people being more confused. Now, like I said, I am on this platform and I am telling you stuff. Do not take it 100%. As much as I right now believe everything I've said is true, and I've researched it all, I'm dyslexic, guys. I could have read something wrong. In a year's time, one of my sources could get disproved. Go into the description of the video. look at all the articles that I've linked, go read them. And then if you come to a different conclusion I do, leave a comment, make a video and at me. But point being, please don't go searching on Reddit and YouTube and TikTok or Google and just believe in the first thing you see, especially if it's making you feel bad. Now, I'm not saying that just because you feel bad, that source is wrong, but I'm saying that if the first source you find immediately disproves how you're feeling, I'd go with your feelings over the research, personally. But I'm just saying this as a warning to be careful, please. I don't want anybody to get misled. Look at multiple sources, question what you're told, and don't assume that everybody's telling you the truth. So, conclusion. Is being transgender a fetish? Look at my notes. It says no. Let me just double check. Autogynephilia as a concept describes a very specific type of sexual arousing, but being transgender is an identity, long-term experience, and how you exist in the world, not just what happens in a sexual content. And while the two can sometimes feel similar on the surface, especially when you're questioning yourself, they're fundamentally different. If anything, what people often mistake as a fetish is actually gender euphoria, comfort, and alignment with who you really are. And that's not something to be ashamed of. Oh, okay. So let me just go back over that. So no, if anything, you're potentially mistaking the fetish part of being transgender with gender euphoria, comfort, and alignment with who you really are. And it says here, next to very official notes, that's not something to be ashamed of. And it's not. Guys, I really hope you found this video helpful. I really hope it is going to shed some light for some people that are maybe struggling or don't understand themselves. If you've had a similar experience, thoughts or anything, feel free to drop a comment and let me know. I'm happy to talk to you all in the comments. And if you've got any videos that you'd like me to talk about in the future, again, comment, let me know. If you leave a like, it lets me know that you enjoy this kind of content, and I'm happy to do more research and help people, especially the way that maybe people can't research for themselves or they just feel scared or nervous. I'm happy to share my own personal anecdotes, that's why I've made the channel. So feel free to drop a comment, please like, ideally subscribe, and just remember, be you, have fun, and explore. And bye bye.